So I basically believe now, with my own experience, that the carnivore diet is absolutely the best diet for anyone with MTHFR issues. So today I thought I'd talk about how I knew that I had the MTHFR gene mutation even before it was confirmed via my DNA. But for some of us, it's kind of obvious that there's something going on, you know. Hi there, my name is Sue. If you've not been to my channel before, I've been on the carnivore diet now for a little over 18 months, and I'm just sharing my journey, everything I'm learning and my results along the way. So today I thought I'd do a video talking about MTHFR. That's because I just had it confirmed a little over a week ago that I have the gene mutation in my DNA. I ran that through a website called Prometheus, and it showed me that I have a heterozygous double copy of the MTHFR variations, and then I also have some other genes that kind of go with that, that basically potentially reduce my methylation down to 80%. So that explains some things for me. I did a video the other day talking about that confirmation. You can go back and have a look at that if you haven't seen that video. But I thought I'd do this video just kind of explaining more about my history and why I was pretty sure that I actually had this genetic mutation. So when I did the video the other day, I had a guy who'd been following me for a little while who started commenting about how MTHFR was a scam, and his whole focus is around working through childhood trauma, which I totally get. That plays a huge part, or can play a huge part, in our health, and it's something that I have kind of delved into a little bit and possibly need to delve into a bit more, and there are always other factors involved, and it depends on your genetics and what other genes you have as to how much your MTHFR gene variation is going to affect you. But for some of us, it's kind of obvious that there's something going on, you know. So that's what I want to talk about today. And so I've spoken a bit about my history and stuff on some of my other videos. So I wanted to explain some things that I've kind of been thinking about doing a video about anyway. So this is kind of the perfect time. So I had a lady who commented on one of my videos just recently, and she said to me, you know, make sure that you're using safe products and not having fluoride, and you know, using fluoride-free toothpaste, and that you're grounding, and that you're drinking clean water, and blah 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 blah. And I said to her, I've been doing that stuff for years. And this is the thing, is like I have been doing all of those things for many, many years. Trying to work out my health has been a almost full-time occupation since I was in my early 30s, basically. When quite often when I put up videos about carnivore and the results that I'm getting, or you know, talking about in different places, there's a lot of people out there who assume that I was on a standard diet before I went on to carnivore, you know. And so the assumption is that, oh, you've gone from, you know, junk food processed diet onto carnivore, and that's why you're getting the results that you're getting. But I wasn't on a junk food processed diet. I haven't been on a junk food processed diet since I was pretty much in my late 20s, early 30s, really. And my diet had got cleaner and cleaner and cleaner over the years as I tried to search for answers for my health. And so prior to carnivore, I was eating a mostly organic, homegrown diet of fruits and vegetables, grass-fed meat, clean water. You know, we filter our water and we distill our water. So we have a mixture of both at the moment, but we had been distilling it completely when we were at the other house. And so, you know, there's no chlorine and there's no fluoride. We have a filter on our shower. I use the safest of personal care products. I make some of my own personal care products, so I know exactly what's in them. I have taken my own food to friends and families, places, or people that I don't know. If I'm going there for a meal or somewhere where there's going to be snacks, I'll take my own food to make sure that I've got something to eat that, and I'm not forced to eat things that I don't want to put into my body. Even in my mid-30s, when I was working in Brisbane, the people that I worked with there were always, my nickname was Fruit Bat, and because I always brought my own food, when they had morning teas and things like that, I never ate the food that was put out. I always ate my own stuff. And so people always say to me, "Oh, you're so healthy," and I've been like that at all of my jobs since, when I've worked for other employers, not working for myself like I am now. When I worked for a couple of places, if they were doing a morning tea or something, they would put out some nuts and some dried fruit or whatever for me, because I wouldn't eat the crackers and I didn't eat cheeses and stuff then. So I wouldn't eat the crackers, wouldn't eat the cheese. So I've been really strict with my health and my diet and what I put into my body. My one failing was alcohol. For quite a lot of years I would drink too much wine, but that's not the case anymore, and hasn't been for at least the last probably 2.5 years, I guess, 3 years. I very rarely drink anything now. So that was my one failing, and that was because it was the only way I could actually get comfortable in social situations, really. That was an issue. But apart from that, my diet was cleaner than anyone else I know. I don't know anyone else personally who has eaten and been as fastidious with their diet and stuff as I have been over the years. And so it's been really frustrating to continue to have a weight issue and to have health issues all of this time. I've had an online presence basically since about 2009. This YouTube channel was originally started in 2015, and I've had a number of other YouTube channels as well, and videos have come and gone off them depending on where I was at with what I was learning and everything else. And because you kind of go down one path and then realize that doesn't work for you, and so then you go down another path and realize that doesn't work for you, and so it all kind of just gets a little bit frustrating. And so my online stuff has been all over the place, but the main focus of everything that I've done online has been around a healthy plant-based diet and detoxing. So I've written in the past for Mike Adams' Natural News website. My articles are still on there. I have written a few little books and had them on Amazon. Some of them I've taken back down again because the information in them isn't kind of what I want to share. I've still got a couple up there. I had done a book on detoxing and bits and pieces like that I was kind of interested in, that I was doing in my own life. But all that kind of became irrelevant because it wasn't keeping me healthy, basically. And I've also had quite a number of websites, one in particular that I used to have a lot of information on, and I took that website down. I wish that I hadn't now, but I did, and they had a lot of really good articles on it on a whole lot of different subjects. But yeah, again, just getting disheartened because what I was doing wasn't working for me. And so I basically had got to the point when we shifted back to New Zealand 8 years ago where I'd kind of almost given up. It was frustrating because it didn't matter how committed I was to my health, I just wasn't getting the results. When I was turned 30, I was still a heavy smoker, and I was having to go to bed at 7 o'clock at night because I couldn't breathe anymore. My health had become so bad. Hadn't driven the car for 5 years. My anxiety was through the roof. I was having panic attacks. I desperately just wanted to stay home and not go anywhere. I made myself go out because I had kids and we had things that we had to do, so I made myself do it. But I was in quite a bad state mentally, and I was morbidly obese, and the cigarette smoking was just killing me, and I knew that it was. I could feel it, and so not long after I turned 30, I quit smoking, and the difference within 24 to 48 hours was like night and day. And I think that was because, I mean, that's one of the things that I kind of eventually really realized, pinpointed the fact that my body wasn't detoxing well, because other people can continue smoking, but for me it was really impactful, and it was really impactful when I quit. It was the difference, because that was when I first started exercising, because the difference was so profound within 48 hours. I had energy and I felt good, and so I started exercising. Where while I was smoking, it was, yeah, not good. And, I mean, I've got siblings that still smoke in their 50s. If I hadn't quit smoking when I was 30, I wouldn't be here today, and I know that. So, I knew that there was something that was going on there. So as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I don't go to doctors often, very rarely. But when I do, it's usually because I've got something going on that I can't resolve, and I just want some testing done. Whereas now I can go get my blood test done myself without even going to the doctor, which is great. I was diagnosed with something called pyroluria when I was 50. So pyroluria is a genetic thing where your spleen, basically, when it's processing red blood cells, creates a byproduct that binds zinc and B6 and takes it out of your body in your urine. And so when you are stressed, you create more pyrrole, so it creates more deficiency of zinc and B6. And with someone with pyroluria, they tend to be doing that all the time, and then creating too much of this waste product, and then their body is eliminating zinc and B6, and so it causes a whole lot of health problems. I've got a couple of videos explaining all of that from years ago. If you want to go and check those out, I've got a video there from when I was actually very first diagnosed. So if you do a search on my channel for pyroluria or pyrrole disorder, you'll find that. So when I was diagnosed with pyroluria, that was when I first started coming across information about MTHFR. And when I started looking into that, I kind of figured that it was probably an issue. Now, when I was really young, I've mentioned in a couple of videos in the past, when I was young, I started having trouble with my feet swelling when I was about 15, or maybe just 16. I'd only just started work. I'd left school and started work. And I came home one day and my feet felt funny. And I looked down and my feet were swollen like an old lady's feet. And so I started having problems with my feet swelling, and eventually I realized that it was caffeine. So I also, as a teenager, started having problems with like a heart palpitations. It was actually more of an arrhythmia. It would last for about 20 minutes, half an hour, and it would feel like I was going to die. So it wasn't just little flutters, it was full on. My heart was out of rhythm, and I'd be sweating and just have to go home a lot of the time if I was at work. And I realised that was caffeine as well. So it was caffeine and nicotine, because I was a smoker back then, and I couldn't do too much caffeine and smoking as well. So I ended up quitting the caffeine because it was easier than quitting the smoking. So that was kind of one indication that there was something going on, because that's not terribly common for young people to have problems, if they're having caffeine and nicotine together. And then in kind of later years, when I was in my late 30s, I started smoking again, because I had quit for 7 years, started smoking again, and kind of really realised that I couldn't drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes at the same time either. So it would just do horrible things to me and make me feel really bad. Whereas when I wasn't smoking, I could actually drink quite a lot, and that was when I really started drinking. So the caffeine and nicotine together, and the nicotine and the alcohol together, for me just did not work. So again, there's something funny going on there. I mean, for a lot of people that drink, smoking was a big part of it, and smoking and drinking together go together like, bacon and eggs. But for me, I could have a couple of drinks when I was smoking if I drank it slowly, and that was it. Whereas when I wasn't smoking, I could drink 2 bottles of wine in a night, So there's quite a big difference. And so I've always kind of, just said I'm sensitive. I'm sensitive to things, I've had a lot of food sensitivities and, all my digestive issues and stuff. And then, all of this stuff with the nicotine and that. I'm sensitive to cleaning products. I first noticed when I was probably in my late 20s that I couldn't use, there was a product in Australia called Domestos, which was like a heavy duty bleach type stuff. I couldn't use it. It would make me really jittery and wired. And then I kind of started to notice that other cleaning products would do that. It was kind of the beginning of some of the move towards more natural products because I just couldn't use those products. I'm quite sensitive to medications and things as well. I mean, I don't do any medications now, but I remember quite a lot of years ago having an ear infection and taking some of my husband's painkillers, and I had to go to bed because they just sent me off my trolley. So Panadol is about it as far as painkillers go for me. And so yeah, so I knew that there was something then where my body was different from a lot of the people around me. Couldn't eat the way other people ate. I couldn't use the products that other people use. I couldn't expose myself to chemicals and things that other people could expose themselves to. And so there was something that, and so of course then there has also been the weight issue that has been the bane of my existence. That's kind of been there since I was a kid, really. Like, I've had times when I haven't been so overweight, but there's always been a bit of excess weight there no matter how hard I try. And, even when I was exercising for hours a day, even when I owned a gym and I was, a fitness instructor, I was still overweight. And I was eating a clean diet, healthy, I remember even when I was doing my massage course, in the break times, they always had the Cadbury's chocolates and things in the fridge, and everybody, all these people that were doing the course with me, the thin athletic ones, they'd go and they'd be chowing down on these chocolates. They'd have 2 or 3. I never touched one, never, ever. And when I was doing my contact care course, in recent years here in New Zealand, the wife of the founder who was running the course, she's an amazing baker. Like, she would make these amazing, cakes and eclairs and all of these things for morning tea and lunch, and everybody would be sitting around eating those, and I never ever had any of them because I just it wasn't worth it to me because it would make me feel not well, and just didn't do good things for me. And I didn't eat gluten, so that was a big part of it as well. Our neighbour in Hervey Bay, we had a couple that lived straight opposite us, and they were Danish, and they were older than us, and they were basically alcoholics, really. They used to drink a lot of alcohol. She used to buy cartons of $2 bottles of red wine from Dan Murphy's, and he would often have a beer in his hand at 10 o'clock in the morning. They were retired, and I remember being over there a few times, and they'd try and ply us with lots of alcohol, and then they would bring out food, and so because I wouldn't eat what she was bringing out, she'd get a little bit offended, and people get offended if you don't eat their food. I've discovered over the years, you've got to be pretty staunch to be able to turn people down. And so we'd been there, quite a few times, and she'd bring things out, and I wouldn't have really anything to eat. And she, this day she brought some stuff out, and because she would have these jars of these little cocktail, like Frankfurter things in brine or something, and she was trying to get me to have one of these, and I was like, no thanks, I'm all good, Connie. And she said to me, she said, Sue, in her accent, she was like, Sue, how come if you eat so healthy, you're still, and she stopped herself and she just looked at me, and I said, fat? And she went, oh, well, you know. And I said to her, I don't know. I said, just luck of the draw, I guess. Because that's the thing, is like, I mean, I was exercising a lot. I used to ride my push bike, I'd go running, and I was eating all this healthy food, and yet I was still overweight. And so, I put it down to thyroid, which is possibly part of the reason. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. It's just all to do with with my genetics. There's something that's been keeping my health kind of subpar, even when I've been doing my best to look after myself. And so now, since we've been back in New Zealand, I mean, like I said before, I started on the carnivore diet. I was eating a predominantly organic, really clean diet, very little in the way of any kind of processed foods. When we went shopping, it was all from around the edge of the supermarket. The only tinned products that we really would buy was tinned tomatoes. I don't know, not much else really. Like, there wasn't much. And I've been a label reader for years. I drive my husband nuts because I'd be reading all the labels of the ingredients and making sure that there was nothing in there that I didn't want to eat. And I'd always buy like with the tinned tomatoes or something like that, if they had sugar in, put that one back, get one without sugar, get the one that's just got tomato and tomato juice in it, and so eating as clean as possible. If I bought tinned fish, it was always tinned fish in spring water. I avoided vegetable oils most of the time, really. I mean, we didn't eat out very often. I mean, we don't really eat out at all now, but we very rarely ate out. So, everything was cooked from scratch at home. So for probably maybe 4 or 5 years prior to going carnivore, my health had been deteriorating quite kind of rapidly. I had gained a whole lot of weight when we first came back to New Zealand, about a year after we came back, and as I've mentioned in other videos, I think that was in part due to mold exposure in my workplace, and because I worked there for 4.5 years. And so I think that had a fairly big impact on my health. And then I just, I didn't have the energy to exercise. I had gained all this weight. I had skin issues. I was starting to have like cardiac stuff going on that I could feel in myself and my body. I was having dizzy spells and nosebleeds and cognitive issues and memory issues and all of the stuff that was kind of going on. And so what I decided initially was I went onto the keto diet because I thought I've got to get rid of some weight. So I was on keto for a couple of months and I dropped a bit of weight, but there was no improvement in my health at that stage. And then I came across information on the carnivore diet, decided to try that for 30 days, and straight up got benefits. Before I had any weight loss, I actually had weight gain initially on carnivore. But the health benefits started to show themselves straight away within a week or two. And so my 30 days that I decided to try on carnivore continued, and I'm over 18 months later, still here. So I think that part of the reason for my fast improvement on carnivore is the fact that some of the nutrients that are really needed for people with MTHFR are in high amounts in those carnivore foods. And I mean, a lot of these foods, I didn't eat them for years, and so that's been a big part of my problem as well, because I didn't eat dairy for years, didn't even eat cheese. I was vegetarian for years and vegan. I didn't eat eggs off and on because I would have issues with eggs. My gut would play up sometimes when I had eggs because my gut was in such a bad way. That was part of the reason for me dropping a lot of these foods, because my belly wasn't good, and they seemed to upset it, and so I thought that they were the problem. And so now, on carnivore, 18 months in, I've got to the point where I think that my gut is just about healed after doing the SIBO protocol that I've been doing. There's a whole lot of other things that are healing. I mean, I'm still really overweight and need to get more weight off. But that's gradually been shifting, really slowly, but it has gradually been shifting. There's quite a big difference from when I started. And so the nutrients that are in the animal foods that are needed by people with MTHFR issues are things like, folate. Folate is in greens and stuff like that, but it's also in liver and it's in eggs. And then there's other nutrients that are really only found in animal foods like glycine and choline, and then there's riboflavin too, which is found in liver's the highest amount. Eggs is found in muscle meat and milk and things like that. So these are all nutrients that are needed in it. So if you have an MTHFR variation and methylation really is an issue, even eating foods that are higher in riboflavin can make a difference. And there's different ways that your body can create and do these things that it needs to, using different nutrients. So I haven't got this all down pat yet, but I've been listening to a lot of people and I'm kind of starting to understand, but I'm not very good at explaining it or remembering the specifics at this stage. So there are a handful of nutrients that can replace others when things aren't functioning properly. I feel like I've been all over the place in this video, but that's basically why I kind of knew that I had an MTHFR gene variation. So hubby, as I said, hubby's got a double mutation as well, but the other genes that can make a difference there aren't the same as mine. So his methylation is not probably quite as broken as mine. So he's been able to get away with all sorts of things through his life. Drugs and things didn't bother him. Alcohol doesn't bother him. Smoking didn't bother him. Yeah, so that's all of this put together is what made me kind of realise that there was something going on. And when I found out about the MTHFR gene variation, and what that does in the body, I kind of had a roundabout understanding of it. I kind of figured that that's what this was, because I'd come to the conclusion that my body didn't detox well, just from the experiences that I've had in my life, and all the sensitivities and everything. I just knew that it was a thing. And so for someone to go, oh, MTHFR is just a scam, it's like, I don't know. It's not. It's not. I know that it's not from my own experience. I didn't know what was wrong years ago, but I knew that there was something. I knew that there was something that was making my body a harder place to live in than a lot of the people around me experienced in their bodies. So I basically believe now, with my own experience, that the carnivore diet is absolutely the best diet for anyone with MTHFR issues. There might be some tweaks and things that are needed, and you can still have a little bit of plant material in there or whatever, but I seriously think that this is the best way to eat, because the nutrients that we require are in those animal foods. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you've got any comments or questions, please fire away below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. If you've got any questions or things that you're not sure about, let me know. If you have MTHFR gene variations or polymorphisms, pop a comment and let me know how they affect you. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and I thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you again another day. Bye for now.